Hello folks, Wager Detective here, May 20th, 2026. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Wager Detective Report. We got a good game on tap here today that I broke down, and we're going to get into the game and how I broke it down and where I'm leaning on this game. Follow Wager Detective on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Set alerts on Twitter and subscribe on YouTube. And I appreciate and love all my fans out there. Wager Detective is just getting started. And let's get into this cap. All right, we're going to talk about the Houston Astros. They are 20-30 on the year. 4-6 in their last 10. They're 8-16 in road games this year. They're 4-2 in one-run games. And they're 3-2 versus the American League Central. Now, if we look at how the Astros play the Twins in their last 10, they're 6-4. 4 over, 6 under, that 8. The total is set at 8. The Astros are coming in at a plus 128, and the Twins are at minus 152. And it's early in the morning. We'll see if that line changes at the end of this cap when we go over to FanDuel, okay, and take a look at those lines. So Astros 6-4 in their last 10 versus the Twins. They're scoring 4 runs a game average, and the Twins are scoring 4 runs a game. So both teams, between their wins and losses over their last 10, are both scoring 4 runs a game. That comes out to 8. The Twins have scored 5+ runs 4 times in the last 10 meetings versus the Astros. Now, if we look at what the Astros have done the last 10 at the Twins, or the last 11 at the Twins, they are 5-6. So the Astros 5-6 the last 11 at the Twins, 5 over, 6 under. The Astros are scoring 4.63 runs per game to the 5.36 for the Twins. That comes out to a 9.99 runs per game average. Now, if we look at road day games on the year, the Astros are 5-7 in road day games this year. 6 over, 5 under, 6 over, 5 under, 1 push. They're scoring 4.25 runs per game to 5 runs a game for their opponent in road day games this year. That comes out to 9.25 runs per game average. In that split in their road day games this year for the Astros, their opponents have scored 5+ 7 times. Very, very interesting. The Astros are 4-5 in their last 9 overall, 3 over, 5 under, and 1 push. And in their last 9, they're scoring 2.33 runs per game to 4.44 for their opponents. That comes out to 21 runs scored for the Astros to 40 for their opponent in their last 9 games overall. Now, if we get into what do we got here? Okay, so this is going to be a road series. Last 9 road, new to old. Where are we at here? At Minnesota. Okay, so the Astros are 4-5 in their last 9 road day games at Minnesota. Astros 4-5. Last 9 road day games at Minnesota. They're scoring 4.22 runs per game to 4.44 in their last 9 road day games at Minnesota. That comes out to over 8.6 runs per game average. And their opponents have scored 3 runs or less 5 times in those games. Or the Twins, rather, have scored 3 runs or less in 5 times in that split. Now, the Astros, in their last 9 road day games at the Twins, they've scored 5+ runs 5 times. So, very, very interesting before we get into the pitching for the Astros. So, let's highlight what's going on here. Astros 6-4 last 10 versus the Twins. They're 5-6 their last 11 at the Twins. Road day games this year for the Astros, they're 5-7. They're all hovering around 4+ runs per game in all those splits. The Astros in their last 9, though, again, 4-5, and they're only scoring 2.33 runs per game over their last 9. So I think as we get into the cap here, you'll see why Wager might be leaning in over here. But that's what the Astros are doing. We said they're 3-2 versus Central, 4-2 in one-run games, but they're 8-16 on the road. So is there a progression to the regression here? Or does their road woes continue here? Now, let's get into the pitching here. We're going to have Burrows on the mound. Mike Burrows. And the Astros are 2-7 in his starts this year. That's first off. Astros are 2-7 in Mike Burrows starts this year. In Burrows' last 5, the Astros are 1-4. Burrows in his last 5 has pitched 28.1 innings, given up 27 hits, 16 earned runs, 10 walks, 28 K, and he's given up 5 home runs in his last 5 outings. In his last outing, he gave up 2 home runs. So in Mike Burrows' last 5 outings on 28.1 innings pitched, he's got a 5.08 ERA, a 1.31 whip, and he's giving up 1.6 home runs per 9 against the opponents in the last 5 games. So he's not really pitching well. And in this game, he is going to be on 5 days rest, where the Astros this year are 0-5 when Burrow starts on 5 days rest. In those games this year on 5 days rest, Burrows has pitched 27.1 innings. He's given up 35 hits, 22 earned runs, 7 home runs, and 10 bases on balls. That comes out to a 7.25 ERA, a 1.65 whip, and he's given up 2.3 home runs per 9 over his last 5 outings this year on 5 days rest. Right there, I'm already thinking of an over. And as we get into this cap, you'll see why. We're talking about progression to the regression, but you factor in the Astros 2-7 in Burrow's starts this year. They're 1-4 in Burrow's last 5 starts. In Burrow's last 5 starts, 5.08 ERA and a 1.31 whip and a 1.6 home runs per 9 over those last 5 games. Not looking good. The only thing that's looking good for the Astros right now is when they do go to the Twins, or last 10 that they played the Twins, rather. They are 6-4, but they are 5-6 in their last 11 at Minnesota, and they're 4-5 in their last 9 road day games at Minnesota. So it's a mixed bag. The pitching definitely tilts towards, you would think, Joe Ryan and the Twins, but let's get into this cap. You're going to be surprised as to where this goes, okay? So the Twins, let's get to that part of the cap. Again, they're minus 152 in this game. Over, under, set at 8, minus 110 both ways. The Twins, they are 22-27 on the year. They're 6-4 in their last 10. So over their last 10, they're winning 60% of the games, where we said the Astros are 4-6, winning 40% of their games. The Twins are 4-7 in one-run games. So Astros are better, right? 4-2 in one-run games. Twins 4-7 one-run games. And the Twins are 2-3 versus the American League West this year. At home this year, the Twins are 5-6 in home day games, 7 over, 3 under. Another case for the over here, right? Something to think about. So Twins 5-6 in home day games this year, 7 over, 3 under, and 1 push. And they're scoring. The Twins are scoring 4.72 runs per game to 4.9 for their opponents in home day games this year. That comes out to 9.63 runs per game average. The Twins are 5-4 over their last 9 overall, 5 over, 4 under. They're scoring 4.11 runs per game to 3.11 for their opponent. That comes out to 7.22 runs per game average over the Twins' last 9 games. Now, if we looked at what the Astros are doing over their last 9, they're only scoring 2.33 and they're giving up 4.44. So it's on pace where the Twins are scoring 4.11, but they're only giving up 3.11 to their opponents. So you could see how this game could be an under, right? But we looked at what Burrows has done. 5.08 ERA his last 5 outings, 1.31 whip, giving up home runs over his last 5 outings. So I'm cautious to think that this game can at least get to 8, and then if it gets to 8, at least you push. Now, in the last 9 games overall for the Twins have scored 5+ runs 5 times. Their opponents in their last 9 games have scored 3 runs or less 6 times. So there's a difference there. You know, that maybe the Twins could win this game by a run and a half and jump on Burrows like everybody else has. Now, the situational split for this game is going to come up right here, and every Wager Detective report is going to have one of these situational exploits to it. From home to road with a day off in between, like the Twins are going to have. So they're at home. They're going to go on a long road trip. It's going to be a 10-game road trip. But in a situation in their last 5 games where they've gone home to road with a day off in between, that game before they have the day off in between, they're 3-2 in their last 5. 3 over, 1 under, 1 push. The Twins are scoring 4 runs a game, but their opponents are scoring 5.8. That comes out to a 9.8 runs per game average. So looking for those little type of edges of how they play in certain situations. And again, the Twins 3-2 in their last 5, where they have a game where it's the last game of a homestand. Then in the next game is going to be the next day they're going to have off, and then they're going to be at another city opening up a road trip. So 3-2, 9.8 runs per game in that split. Now, the Twins, they are 1-4 in the last 5 starts for Joe Ryan. I took out the Toronto game where he only pitched a 0.1 inning, so his last 5 quality starts where he went in at least 4, 5, 6 innings. The Twins are 1-4 in his last 5 starts. The win came against Cleveland, and the losses came against Seattle, the Mets, and Milwaukee. So it's really interesting to think, Seattle, Mets, Milwaukee, I believe, have a better lineup than the Astros. And don't get me wrong, I like Alvarez, I like Walker, I like Pena. You could see their expected lineup. It doesn't look like Altuve is going to be in the lineup today. But those guys that are in that top of the lineup, we're going to get into that. And they're Joe Ryan, they've hurt him in the past. So the Twins 1-4 in Ryan's last 5 starts. Now, in his last 5 starts, though, Ryan's been pitching pretty good. He's 28 innings pitched, has given up 22 hits, only 9 earned runs, 2 home runs, 7 walks, and 29 Ks. So in Ryan's last 5 outings, he's got a 2.89 ERA, a 1.04 WHIP, and he's only given up 0.64 home runs per 9. So obviously that tells me that they're not scoring for him, right? When he gets on the mound, they're just not scoring for him. Now the Twins are 4-5 in Ryan starts overall this year. So they're 1-4 in his last 5 starts, but they are 4-5, the Twins, in his 9 starts this year, in which it's been 4 over, 4 under, and 1 push. And the last 2 outings that Ryan has been on the mound, it has gone under that 8 that is set today by the book. So Ryan's going to be on 4 days rest here. The Twins are 2-1 this year. When Ryan starts on 4 days rest, 2 overs and 1 push in those games. And Ryan starts on 4 days rest this year, 18 innings pitched, giving up 11 hits, 6 earned runs, a home run, 5 walks, and 18 Ks. That comes out to a 3 ERA, a 0.88 WHIP, and a half for a home run a game over per 9 in those games. This is where it gets a little bit interesting, man. Ryan and the Twins are 1-4 in his last 5 starts versus the Astros. 1 over, 4 under. So that's a case for the under. In Ryan's last 5 starts versus the Twins, the Twins are averaging 3.2 runs a game to 4.2 for the Astros. He's pitched 26.2 innings pitched. He's given up 24 hits, 19 earned runs, 8 walks, and 10 home runs in his last 5 outings versus the Astros. That's a 6.41 ERA, a 1.20 WHIP, and he's giving up 3.38 home runs per 9 in his last 5 starts versus the Astros. In one game, he gave up 4 home runs. And the guys that got the home runs are in the top of the lineup right here. Alvarez, in his last 5 games versus Ryan, he's got 2 home runs. Abreu's got a home run. Tucker's got a home run. He's gone now. But you got Diaz that had a home run. Pena, who's at the top of the lineup, he had a home run. Christian Walker. All those guys in the top of the lineup seem to give or have given Ryan trouble in the past. Guys, if I'm going to look at this game, I gotta believe this game's going to get over. It's a nice day. Look at that, 56 degrees out. I think that we saw, like we said about Burrows, the Astros are 1-4 in his last 5 starts. They're 2-7 in his starts this year. Burrows has a 5.08 ERA in his last 5, a 1.31 WHIP, and a 1.6 home runs per 9 in his last 5. The Astros are 0-5 this year when Burrows starts on 5 days rest, where he has a 7.25 ERA, a 1.65 WHIP, 2.3 home runs per 9 on 5 days rest this year. I got to believe that the Twins and the Astros are going to score. I believe one of these guys in that Astros lineup will go yard. This guy has given up 10 home runs. Ryan has given up 10 home runs in his last 5 outings versus the Astros. They just see him well. And the Twins are 1-4 in those games. It's a crazy thing. And the Astros in 3 of those 5 games where they've seen Ryan as a starter, they've scored 5 runs exactly 3 times. And the other 2 games they scored 3. So they're going to be around that 4 to 5 runs average here, I do believe, man. And I think the Twins will get their runs. I think the Astros will get their runs. So Wager Detective right here is going to call the over as his stronger play, over 8. And then not far behind it, man. I mean, I look at everything that we have here. I know Burrows hasn't pitched good. I think there's more to say about a history of a pitcher recently than what a guy has maybe done on surface level, because I do believe progression to the regression to what he's done. I just think both teams are going to score, so that's Wager Detective's call. If I had to lean aside, I got to believe Ryan's going to eventually come up with something good, but how do you know? When is that day going to be? And are they going to show up for him today? If there was a day to show up for Ryan when you haven't given him run support in his last 5 versus the Astros, in 4 of those games, the Astros scored 2, the Twins scored 2 runs or less in those last 5 starts by Ryan versus the Astros. They've scored 2 runs or less 4 times out of the 5 games. That's not good. So I think today is a good medicine day for them to get back on track. And if I had to lean aside, even with all those stats, I think Ryan has looked better as a pitcher. I mean, like I said, he's good on 4 days rest. Twins are 4-5 when he starts this year. He's got a 2.89 ERA in his last 5 outings. I think he settles in today, and I would think the Twins win. If the Twins win, it's probably going to be by more than a run and a half. So knock off some of that chalk. Let's take a look at the line here and see what it's sitting at. Get a better understanding of what we're looking at here on this game. Take a look at the MLB. You're with Wager Detective right now. Let's take a look at it. So the Twins minus 146, but they're coming back at a plus 142. I think if they do win, they're going to have to do it by more than a run, because as we said, they're only 4-7 in one-run games, the Twins. So for them to win, you got to think they're going to have to pull away. And like we said, the Astros 8-16 on the road this year. It just to me seems like, even though the history says that this guy hasn't pitched good, they don't win, I think there's progression to the regression there. So Wager Detective is going to call the Twins to win this game by minus 1.5 and this game to go over 8. This is Wager Detective. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And more than anything else in the world, guys, remember that Wager Detective truly loves all his fans. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to follow Wager Detective on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And Wager Detective loves all his fans. I'll talk to you soon.